I'm the Managing Director of Customs for Pegasus Logistics Group. We operate under the name of PLG Customs Brokers, but we are all Pegasus Logistics Group. When shipments come into the U.S., they have to go through U.S. Customs, and that's what I do. I get them through U.S. Customs. Any partner government agencies, such as like FDA, DOT, EPA, all the fun partner government agencies that are really boring but have jurisdiction or regulations that oversee commodities that come into the U.S. Pegasus ships the freight all over here and there, but if it's coming into the U.S., it has to come through U.S. Customs because they want their duties and taxes. And basically, it's my job to determine what those duties and taxes are and make sure the government gets their money. The way I see it, the biggest thing that importers are dealing with is the tariffs. It's ever-changing. It changes sometimes daily. Sometimes by the time we put out some piece of information, it's already changed. I've attended webinars where they start out the conversation with, "This is what we know as of now." And by the end of the webinar, somebody will come back and say, "We have an update." and that's the reality of what it is right now. It's ever-changing. Getting the goods into the U.S. is one thing, but there's all sorts of regulations that importers have to follow just to make sure that customs doesn't come knocking on their door. Record keeping is a huge thing. Your free trade agreements, partner government agencies, there's just so many things that importers have to deal with when they're trying to get their goods in legally. By law, it's the importer of record's responsibility to ensure that they have all the proper documentation, that if they're claiming a free trade agreement, they have the backup to do so. Customs can come back for a long time and ask those questions. They can issue CF-28, CF-29s. These are requests for information, basically. You get shipments on hold. They can be held, you can end up with demurrage, storage, goods can be seized. Not only that, but they could lose customers if they don't fulfill the orders and things that they, have made promises on, and it just makes their prices go up. When you're dealing with USMCA, that's the US-Mexico Free Trade Agreement, there's a whole lot more records that have to be kept. It's not just, you can't just say, oh, it was made in Mexico and therefore it should qualify, or it's made in Canada, so it should qualify. A lot of times, those goods that are being manufactured in Mexico, they may be made from items that were components sourced from China or components sourced from India. And there's certain regulatory requirements and percentages that have to be made, and substantial transformation, all of these different things that have to be met to be able to fully meet that free trade agreement. It's pages and pages long if you look at the regulations and the tariff as to what they have to do in order to meet those requirements to actually claim that free trade agreement. And then they have to be able to prove it to customs with, like I said, the bill of materials, all of the proof that that company they bought those components from in China doesn't have anything to do with forced labor. It's a lot. I would just tell importers, use the tools that are out there. Don't just go order something from somewhere and when it gets here, then decide that you want to do the research. I've actually had a couple of customers, one that imported a food product. They were just opening up a store and they wanted to bring food to sell to people from India. They had all these wonderful things. They brought the machinery. They placed the orders for all different types of seeds and oils and all of this. Well, a lot of those things are regulated by FDA, of course, USDA. There's certain quotas on certain things that you can only import certain times a year and certain amounts of them. They didn't do any of that homework. Their shipment got here. Several of the items were on import alert. They got seized. They had to be destroyed. The shipment was held for months in a bonded warehouse where they had to pay all those charges. And, had they asked us up front, hey, are any of these goods regulated by anybody before they placed that order, they could have saved themselves a whole lot of money and a lot of headache. There's a lot going on in the world right now. There's certain places ships aren't moving. Certain places you can't fly over that airspace right now. You may have, planned to do business with this particular partner and now you can't. So I think, to be ready, you need to have a plan B, a plan C, other alternatives to source your goods. We're not one of the biggest. We know our regulations, we know what's required, we follow the law, we will make sure you are using reasonable care, doing everything you're supposed to. But a lot of those bigger companies, you're not going to talk to their licensed broker. You're going to talk to the entry writer. You're not going to have access to somebody who does stay on top of these regulations. Being able to be accessible, to answer their questions, to jump on a quick call when the tariffs change at midnight and go into effect the next day, which happens a lot. We got notification a lot of times that these tariffs, oh, by the way, it's implemented, it goes into effect tomorrow at 12 midnight, and by the way, you don't have any time to program, and neither do your software vendors, and neither does customs. You're not going to be able to pick up the phone if you're dealing with a larger broker and be able to call their licensed broker and say, what does this mean to me? You will have access through Pegasus to licensed brokers who can give you that information and help you and help maneuver through all of those things, because it's a lot. There's just a lot.